Hey everybody, this is Rob Melise at Rob the Movie Buff on Twitter and at Rob Melise on Letterboxd. Hope everyone is doing well today, and I'm here to review a TV show and a movie. The TV show I'm talking about today is the second season of Hulu's The Bear, created by Christopher Storer and starring Jeremy Allen White as Carmie Berzatto. Just going to quickly go through the first season, which I love, save for some bad CG whenever fire is used, but going to go through that first season without too much detail. Carmie is a chef who is an up-and-coming in a prestige restaurant in New York, but he's brought back to his childhood home of Chicago to take over for his brother Mike's restaurant. Mike is played in a guest role by Jon Bernthal. Mike unfortunately committed suicide and left the restaurant to Carmie as well, even though they were estranged, in part because Mike would not let him work in the restaurant. And with the establishment a total mess, both financially and systems-wise, Carmie tries to fix everything in the restaurant, and he runs himself ragged doing so, and often butts heads with Michael's best friend and kind of the de facto manager of the restaurant, Richie, played by Ebon Moss-Bachrach, a young and talented but impatient chef named Sydney, who just comes in at the start of the first season, Ayo Edebari, veteran line cooks who have been there for a while, like Ibrahim, played by Edwin Lee Gibson, and Tina, played by Liza Colon-Zayas, and then the pastry chef, Marcus, played by Lionel Boyce. And Carmie's attempting to get the restaurant to change and grow, while at the same time dealing with the debts brother Mike left to him and his sister Natalie, played by Abby Elliott, due to taking loans from their uncle Jimmy Cicero, played by Oliver Platt. And by the end of season 1, fortunately they come into new money to begin a reset and reband of the restaurant. And season 2, it's able to have the chaos and intensity of the first season, showing the just craziness of the restaurant environment on a day-to-day, meal-to-meal basis, but also have more in-depth looks at the characters and their situations and backstories. With trying to change up the restaurant, plenty of renovations and changes have to be implemented. So Sydney and Carmie work on the menu. Marcus deals with family health troubles, but also gets to travel to learn more about pastry and plating. And he has one episode with a great guest star appearance, which I won't spoil. Ibrahim and Tina go to culinary school for further certification, and Richie learns more about management and organization. Carmie is up against the clock with deadlines to get everything ready, and is also trying to have something of a personal life. And he develops a romantic relationship with an old friend, a nurse named Claire, guest starred Molly Gordon. Despite appearing to move past many of the issues he dealt with in the first season, lack of confidence, just having to come in for his brother who was estranged and not really knowing why things happened. Even though it feels like he kind of got through that, Carmie actually feels as trapped as ever, and he's kind of wondering if he can ever have happiness or if he is even deserving of it. We see more of Sydney and her family life with her father, and how much of a sacrifice and chance she has taken in following her dream to become a chef, while also having her there to compete for Carmie's attention when it comes to her ideas and wants for the restaurant, because she is impatient and she does want things done in a certain way and certain level. The character that's maybe gone through the biggest growth and transformation from the start of the series to now is Richie, who at the very start of the series, he's dealing with the perception of being rigid, unorganized, politically incorrect, and thought of as kind of a deadbeat single dad who could do very little right. Even from the beginning, though, of the show, the show does a really incredible job of establishing that he is someone who is trying and is capable when needing to be and worth rooting for, and it makes his change and evolution to an incredibly capable manager and delegator throughout the second season all the more sweeter. And Ebon Moss-Bachrach, he really shines in this role, and especially in episode 7 when Richie is given a chance to learn in a fancy restaurant environment. And what he once finds snooty and pretentious, he now finds incredibly fun and interesting and worth delving into and learning more about. Jeremy Allen White as Carmy is one of the best leads on television. He's both someone who can appear to, on the outside, have everything under control, while also at oftentimes spiraling out of control and never having it once feel like it's forced or coming out of nowhere. And Edebari is able to balance the fast-talking element of her character with someone, Sydney, who is an intellectual equal with Carmy and someone he also turns to in his lowest moments as a friend. Performances by the entire cast as a whole are incredible, including a bunch of guest stars who I won't spoil. Oliver Platt being the main recurring one that is both their loan officer but also a partner and someone who is rooting for their success in the restaurant. Episode 6 of Season 2 is honestly an incredible feat of television, and it's up there with Episode 3 of this year's of Succession and, Episode 3 of The Last of Us for, in my opinion, the best hour of television, with the guest star element at its most fervent and best, and it establishes the generational trauma and difficulty Carmy and his entire family and the restaurant as a whole have dealt with, and why it's so hard for them to overcome and move forward completely in their lives. There is 2 or 3 performances, guest performances in that episode that should garner a guest star Emmy nominee and award consideration. Season 1 also did a great job of showing the architecture and blue-collar nature of the city of Chicago, just with drone shots and, shots of pictures of just establishing the culture of Chicago. And Season 2 really ups that ante with so many incredible drone and landscape shots, and it really makes location a character in the story. I also love the romance between Carmy and Claire, as though there's some weird criticism that Claire isn't looked at as in-depth as the rest of the characters. I personally didn't really care that much because it was just a genuine great relationship that you really hope succeeds. Overall, this season was pretty much pitch perfect for me, and outside of a couple small things, and it's between a 9.5 and a 10 out of 10 for me. Next, I'm reviewing the film Past Lives, written and directed by Celine Song in her directorial debut. The film is about 2 childhood sweethearts in Korea, Nora, played by Greta Lee, and Hae-sung, played by Teo Yoo, who develop a young romance, but unfortunately, Nora immigrates from Seoul with her family, and the 2 separate for 12 years, but briefly reconnect in young adulthood, with Nora in New York City and Hae-sung getting ready to study Mandarin in China. The 2 want to meet again, but unfortunately circumstances and distance between them make it difficult for either to commit, and they again take a break between talking to each other. Nora works to build up her writing career and falls in love with a man named Arthur John Magaro on her writing retreat, eventually marrying him. Hae-sung attempts to develop a romantic relationship with someone else, but isn't able to find a partner worth marrying as easily, and eventually goes to New York City for a vacation, but reuniting briefly with Nora for the second time in 24 years. The opening shot of the movie immediately drew me in, as it communicates so much, both initially and by the end of the film, of what the relationships and interactions of the characters are and what they mean to people around them and to the audience as a whole. The title Past Lives is a reference to the Korean concept of inyon, where if you cross paths with someone in life, it means you probably connected with them in a past life, and lovers are those that have met over and over in past lives. This leads to the questioning so much of fate and destiny and decisions that could send you on one particular path or another, and in my opinion, it's one of the better movies that I've seen dealt with this topic in a non-cliche and engaging and actually new way. And both lead performances are excellent, as the 2 have to carry a lot of scenes with both a ton of dialogue and also just a lot of intimate stares. But it works so well because of the chemistry and care shown. It's just dripping with both chemistry and love in those scenes. Magaro is really great as Arthur, someone who's put in a tough spot as Nora's husband, who loves and adores her, but wonders with her seeing her childhood sweetheart if he's really the right man for her, despite all of the years they have shared. There's plenty of great visual cues and examples of just visual storytelling, revealing the degree of separation between Nora and Hae-sung and their perspectives on life and culture as well. And there's a lot of really sharp cuts and editing choices that just immediately just grab hold and say something immediately that I rarely see in movies. The cinematography by Shabir Kirshner is incredible, with a lot of extended one-take sequences that are phenomenally shot and visuals that are seared into my brain soon after seeing the movie. The soundtrack by Christopher Bear is very whimsical and is big in conveying the emotions, up and downs of the relationship between Nora and Hae-sung, and the painful departs the story encounter. I'm glad I didn't see really much, if any, trailers going in, as they appear to show a lot, and I was able to absorb the story and the romance without any expectation or belief of where it should or will go or ends up going. And overall, for me, this film is an 8 out of 10 as of now, but it could go up on future viewings. Thanks again for listening, and let me know in the comments what you thought of The Bears Season 2 and Past Lives. Have you seen either? What do you think of them? And what other movies or shows should I check out? But thanks again for listening.